Hello, my name is Julie and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. I'm so happy that you're watching today's video. I am showing you project number 2 from Stamp Club in September of 2025. Do be sure and look for the first project and also the third one. I'll put a link here to the third one so that you can see all 3 things that we made this month. This project was not created originally by me. I was inspired by watching another Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I will put credit for her video below in the description box underneath this video. But I made very few changes, but I was inspired. I really thought that it was adorable. And so this is one of the projects that we cased and are using for Club. If you are following along and you are doing Stamp Club at home, you will either have the gray background paper or the orange. I have a completed one at the end to show you that has the gray, so I'll be putting together the orange one here with you as we go step to step. Step by step. All right, you have 2 large arches cut from the Everyday Arches set of dies. We then have our designer series paper, and this is from, let's see, the stamp set is called Spooky Halloween. I think the paper is called Sweet and Spooky. And this is, there are a bunch of really cute prints in there, but we are kind of using a B side. So again, you either have the gray one or the orange one. This is cut from a smaller arch because it's going to fit on there with the arch showing all around the edges. So you've got 2 large arches cut out of basic black cardstock, our DSP arch, slightly smaller. Then I have this piece of cardstock, which is 2.5 inches by 9 inches. We're going to do some scoring on this piece. This is going to hold our little box together. I have a white circle that I die cut from Stylish Shapes. So if you are doing Stamp Club at home, you'll take your scrap, one of your large white scraps, and you'll do your die cut circle. Then you have another scrap, and that is going to be for stamping and die cutting our little Halloween dog. I'm calling him FrankenDog. All right, so we're going to cut him out. And then you have a smaller scrap that is going to also be for die cuts. Now, by the way, for this project, for both Stamp Club in person and also at home, you can decide if you want to use the cat and then she'll be holding the little broom as the accessory, or the dog who will be holding the little pumpkin bucket. So I've been calling him FrankenDog and Witchy Cat. So it will be up to you which one you use. I'm going to show you FrankenDog today. Okay, let's do a little bit of our scoring so that we can get this piece going. First, you're going to lay it in a landscape position and score at 3 inches and at 6 inches. Then we're going to turn it, and you're going to score it at a 1/2 inch from this side and a 1/2 inch from this side. So you can do that however you want. I think it's sometimes hard to work over here when you're kind of like all in your own way. So I'm looking here. Here's my 2.5 inch mark. I'm just going to come in a 1/2 inch. So I'm scoring at a 1/2 inch from the edge of the paper by doing that. I could come over here and do the 1/2 inch. That's fine if you want to do that, or just flip this around and do the exact same 2 inch mark as we did on the first one. So again, you're 1/2 inch away from the edge of the paper, 1/2 inch in, 1/2 inch in. Then you're also going to score at 1.25 inches, but we're going to stop when we get to this line. All right, so it's good that we did that first because that's going to give you your indication of where to stop. So I'm going to score at 1.25 all the way down, and I'm going to stop when I get to that score line, like so. And we're going to do that on the other side as well. 1.25. So pay no attention to my markers. Sometimes I have my markers in there for another class or another project that I'm working on. Do as I say, not as you see. Does that work for today? All right, we're gonna get this out of our way. And go ahead now and grab your bone folder and let's fold and reinforce all of those creases. Okay, there's the 3 and the 6 inch mark. Here's the 1/2 inch on one side. Here's the 1/2 inch on the other side. And then that last little crease that we made, because it's only a partial, I'm just going to kind of bend it with my fingers. I'm not really going to crease it with my bone folder. Okay, just like that. All right, we're going to do a little bit of cutting. So let me get my scissors here. All right, we are going to make a cut here and here, like so. Okay, you can see that. And we're going to cut here and here. So those 4 little cuts. All right, the other thing, let's see if it's necessary on this. I don't think we're going to make any trims on this one. I think we're just going to leave it as it is. Sometimes we take that little wedge piece out. It's not really necessary on this. These 2 ends are going to fold up like so and become the base of our little treat container. All right, so what I'm going to do is, you can use your liquid glue or you can use your tear and tape, and I am going to put my tear and tape, see if I can find the end of it. There we go. All right, I'm going to put my tear and tape, this is coming in inside, on this. So I'm working with that center panel. There and there. And here and here. So 4 small pieces, or you can use your liquid glue. You'll just have to kind of hold it in place for a moment to let the glue begin to dry and hold it if you are using your liquid glue. All right, I'm going to work on this side first. So I'm going to only remove 2 of the backing pieces. I'm going to bring this up so it's on the inside of this little tray part. And I'm just going to stick it and pinch it. I'm just going to hold on tight on this side. I'm going to come over here and do the same thing and pinch it. And now it's time to do the other 2. So I've got the backing pieces of my tear and tape. I'm just getting them started using my take your pick tool. And then tuck those 2 flaps on the inside, line it up nice and straight, and pinch it. And over here, line it up nice and straight, all the edges together, and pinch it. There we have it. All right. Now you can see with your index fingers, if you just bend those 2 little spots in, that's going to work nicely. All right, let's set that aside and move on to creating the front. As I mentioned, we have our circle. Our circle is going to go here as like a backdrop to our FrankenDog. We're going to do some stamping on here. And even though I'm a huge fan of Secret C right now, and you're seeing me use that a lot instead of black, I am using black today. So you can grab your Memento Tuxedo Black ink pad, and we're going to use the stamp that says all tricks, No, that would be funny. That says no tricks, all treats. All right, so let's get that mounted on a block. Mine is, I can feel it, it's a little bit gritty. When you find that your photopolymer stamps are getting kind of dirty, they might not look dirty, but you'll feel that they're dusty or gritty. Just grab one of those little alcohol pads. Boy, do I use these all the time for different things. I'm gonna just pull one of those out and give this a quick clean. And it doesn't hurt to clean the other side either while I'm at it. All right, that feels a lot better. And then I can get it onto my block. All right, so with my black ink, and I'm going to want to kind of get an eyeball perspective of where this circle is going to go so that I know where I want my words. And then I'll do the words right here. If you are doing Stamp Club at home and you do not yet have this stamp set and you're doing a substitute, this is where you'll stamp whichever Halloween greeting that you want on your project. All right, there we go. I also didn't mention that you will want to have a small scrap of black. Let me see if I have one here, to die cut a couple of bats. So if you just have a little scrap of black, we're going to use the die and die cut 2 little bats. So mine are sitting here. That's what reminded me to say something about those. Okay, I'm going to stamp my FrankenDog now, and I'm going to do that on this piece. You have an option at this point to either use your black ink pad and just go ahead and ink it up and stamp it onto your white scrap that was provided. Or if you have a stamp positioning tool, you might want to use that today. So I'm going to pull out my Misty, and I think I'm going to stamp my dog using my Misty. And the reason for that is I may need to stamp FrankenDog 2 or 3 times in order to get it the depth of black that I want it to be. So let's see, I need the little pad. Is this the pad? All right, moving my ink pad, first of all, out of the way. Moving my magnets and keeping them separate. They are not friendly. They don't play nicely with each other. So you got to keep your magnets separated from each other. I'm going to go ahead and put the little squishy mat here in place because I'm using a photopolymer stamp and there's no cushion on this. Then I want to place my cardstock, hold it with a couple of magnets, and then place my dog right here where I want to stamp it. Close the lid of your stamping tool to pick up the stamp. And you know what? I'm going to add an extra magnet because that's still sliding a little bit. So I'm going to pull this up a little and add a 3rd magnet. Let's try that instead, because otherwise when I pulled up my stamp, it was still grabbing onto the paper and moving it. Let's try this. Ah, that was better. All right, I'm going to turn this sideways. Hopefully the view from where you are is better if I turn it this way. It's kind of a large tool, which is great, but it's hard to keep it right here in your view. All right, so I've got my black ink pad. I'm going to go ahead and ink up the dog, little FrankenDog here. And I'm going to close this down and press. This is stamping that image onto the white cardstock. And then the beauty of this is I am able to lift this up. And if I wish, I can re-ink and stamp again, just making sure that those black areas are really, really black. That time actually worked great. I almost am not going to do the second time, but I want to show you the benefit of doing this is then you can re-ink. Using your stamp positioning tool, you're able to stamp in precisely the exact same position and just darken up that ink color, like so. Ah, perfect. All right, sliding my magnets out of the way, not letting them touch. And I can go ahead and pull this out. Again, if you are just using your acrylic block to put Witchy Cat or FrankenDog onto a block, you can totally do that and just stamp it that way. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of coloring with some Stampin' Blends. I've chosen Petunia Pop for the shirt, and I'm starting with light. I'm just going to lay down a layer of color. And I love when I use the Stampin' Blends how you can get close to the line or the edge, but not right up to it, and the ink from the marker just flows out and fills up that space. It's so wonderful. It makes coloring really easy. All right, so there is the whole shirt in Petunia Pop Light. Then I'm going to take dark and just outline a couple areas, making some shading and some shadows. You can color this however you wish. You can use markers, you can use colored pencils, whatever you have, whatever you are in the mood for. I did the edges of the sleeves in the dark. All right, we're going to just stop with that. I kind of like how that's looking. Then I'm going to take some green. So it's up to you. You can use your lemon lime twist or parakeet party, granny apple green. I think I'm going to try my parakeet party just because it's here. It's very neon green. If you don't have parakeet party because it has retired, then grab your lemon lime twist or your granny apple green. All right, and we're just going to color the dog. I'm going to leave the eye around the dog's right eye. I'm going to leave that blank, so it's just white. And otherwise, for the sake of time, I'm just going to color all the rest of the dog in this light green. Okay, this includes the little paws or his hands. And then I'm going to do green shorts. It's such a fun little image to color. Oh my goodness. All right, dark. Take your darker green and you can do a little bit of shadows and shading if you like. I think there would be a little shadow where his shirt is hanging over. And then I'm going to draw some extra attention to that and to the ear. Kind of wherever you think there might be some shading or some shadow needed. All right, there's a little patch here that needs to be green, and I'm going to stop at that. All right, for the little stockings, I'm going to reach for pumpkin pie. I'm going to use dark, but I'm not sure. Not sure if I want to use light. Let's go with dark. All right, so just some little orange stockings or socks. And then I'm also going to do the lollipop. Let me try a light pumpkin pie and see what that looks like. All right, light pumpkin pie. I want one more color. there. Just added a little dark in the middle. And that is going to be Smoky Slate Light on these little bolts, the Frankenstein bolts. I don't know if that's another bolt over there on that side. What do you think? All right, and that's probably it for the gray. Okay. Now, before I move this out of the way, I want to go ahead and take my other small scrap. So find your other scrap in your packet and the little jack-o'-lantern trick-or-treating bucket, and stamp one or two of those. See which one is your favorite. Sometimes it comes out better than the other. Like I like my second one better. I think the second one was the best. Add a little bit of orange to it. Like so. You know what? All the markers are sitting right here. Let's take dark and add a little extra. It's tiny, but it makes a big difference. All right, I'm going to take this little jack-o'-lantern and my FrankenDog over to my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I'm going to die cut them and bring them right back. I want to give you a hint about cutting, die cutting that little jack-o'-lantern bucket, because I've cut out several now and learned something along the way. So here's the little FrankenDog, cute as can be. There's the die. And then what I have learned is when you go to put your jack-o'-lantern die, and it comes with two, so that's nice because if you're using several of these pumpkins, you can cut out two at a time. But when you lay it onto the image, you want to slide it up more than you think. You need to be able to see the handle of the bucket clearly. If you at all are down a little lower, where upon initially looking at it, it looks like it goes, you're going to end up with way too much white below the pumpkin. So you do want to shove it just up a hair farther than you think, and then you're going to end up with a nice die cut. All right, so there's that. Okay, we are going to put this together. Let's take one of our arches, glue our designer series paper on. Double check your arches, because with this particular die, like with some of the other shapes, there is a definite front and back. So you want to make sure that you're using the front of the die, cut. And then get your designer series paper centered before you press it down for real. Okay, and then that white die cut circle is next. I'm centering between the right and the left side of that paper. Let's add some dimensionals to our little FrankenDog. Oh, there's a little piece that did not pop out. Let's pop that out. There we go. All right, this can go on. Might not be necessary, but I'm gonna go ahead and put a mini on the back of the lollipop. Okay, a big one would have been too large and it might not even be necessary, but I don't want the lollipop to sag at all, so I just popped a little mini dimensional on there. All right, this is cute as can be. This is gonna go basically pretty centered right there in your circle. All right, now we want to add our little Halloween bucket. Here it is, our little jack-o'-lantern. So let's go ahead and use a small one behind that as well. And then I'm just going to place it right so it looks like FrankenDog is holding it. Like that. Okay, it's all coming together. Okay, let's take our bats next. And those also need some minis. If you don't have minis handy, you can always cut the full-size ones to make them fit a little better. So I am deciding to put one mini just right in the middle of the body. Okay, one of these is going to go down here. Look how cute that is. And this is nice. We can begin to fill a little bit of this space up here. So that's kind of cute. Now, we are going to add some more embellishments to this, but I want to go ahead and put the whole thing together before I do that. So this is how it's going to go. This is going to be the back, and you notice I flipped it over so that the good side is on the outside. Our little box is going to get attached here. That's in the middle, and then this is going to go on the front like so. Now, once that's all together, we are going to bring the top together like this, and we're going to tie that together. So at this point, I want to go ahead and put this together. All right, you can use your tear and tape or you can use your glue. I'm going to use my glue for now. And I'm going to lay this on here and just kind of, I want it centered, but I also want to make sure that the bottom is flush with the bottom of the arch. So I'm going to do it here on my desktop, but I might need to pick it up so that I can see it better, but without getting my head in your view. So I'm just going to look at it over here, making sure that this is pretty even. That looks good. And I'm going to press it down. And then the top. Right and left looks centered. The bottom of the box is even with the bottom of my arches. And then watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to flip the whole thing over so I can stick my hand in there and just press down the areas that have glue. Okay, getting all of that stuck down. Now, the tear and tape would hold really well, so it's probably a good choice. The liquid glue gives you a second to slide it around if you don't quite get it where you want. So it's up to you, whichever one you want to use. All right, that is stinking adorable. All right, I'm going to pinch it together at the top. And I'm a little bit, well, we're going to try it. I don't know if my hole punch will go through both thicknesses of the cardstock and the designer series paper, but I'm going to give it a try. If it won't, I'll have to do one at a time. Some of you might even have a crocodile. Remember when that was popular? If you have one, you can use one of those to do your hole in here. But I am going to try. Oh, no problem. Okay, so I've got my hole punched there. All right, this is kind of fun how we're going to finish the top. So you're going to find your Petunia Pop iridescent ribbon in your packet of materials. We're going to feed that through, but we're not going to tie it, so just feed it through. like so. Now, if you already have your treats, you're going to want to go ahead and put your treats in there before we finish this up. I'm going to go ahead and finish mine with it empty because it's not going to be glued or stapled shut. So I will be able to untie the top of this once I get my Halloween candy and am able to fill it with treats. All right, so you're just going to pull those purple ends up so that they're even. And then you're going to take your little piece of black baker's twine. You almost need a friend to do this part. You need somebody to help hold it for a second. And we're going to tie that around the purple. Cinching it all up. I'm going to get my purple even again. It kind of got uneven. I'm going to pull my baker's twine way down and I'm going to pull it tight so it holds everything in place. And then a bow, if you have enough. If you don't have enough twine at this point, just tie a knot. Ooh, I almost did, but I'm kind of running out on that tail. Look, this one's longer and this one's shorter. So I'm going to try one more time. I think I need to undo it and give myself more tail on the other side, but this will give you the idea. All right, so you're going to tie your bow to finish it off. Again, you can see that I have way more on this side. So after I'm done recording, I will take my twine off, reposition it, and retie my bow. All right, also at that point, if you want to trim the ends of the purple ribbon, you can. And then for nearly the last thing, we're going to add our stars. We've used these on another project this month at Stamp Club. And it depends on your mood, whatever color stars you want to use. So on this particular one, I'm going to use black. The other one that I'm going to show you, I used the purple. So at this point, you can decide where they go, how many to use. Stamp Club, I believe that your packet included 3. So I'll put 3 on here to show you where I would put mine. Like so. Now, if you want to at this point, and if you have a wink of Stella, you might want to grab that and just put a little spin on the lollipop. That'll be kind of fun if it's a little shimmery. And there we have our cute little FrankenDog, or maybe you did the cat, witchy cat, treat container that will hold a good amount of treats. That's a good size holder. And I think that you'll be super happy. Get a head start on these so you have them all ready to go before that week of Halloween sneaks up on you, and you will be in good shape. I'm going to put some information for you below this video, as I always do. Helpful hints, also where to find these particular products. And until next time, happy stamping. Oh, did you already sign off? Did you already go away? I hope you didn't, because I didn't show you the other one. All right, let me show you the other one before I conclude. Here it is with the gray paper instead. All right, I can't even pick which one I like best because I just think that they are both super cute. And then I used the purple stars on this one. So there you go. Now you're able to see both the orange and the gray paper and our 2 versions. And that's it for now.